So this is your Advanced Financial Management, ACCA AFM, we call it. Previously, we used to call it P4. So let's forget about P4 and talk about AFM. This is first session. I'm going to introduce you to this syllabus. Important syllabus areas. We are going to discuss what is new in this syllabus, what has been added, what has been excluded from the paper. We'll discuss about a lot of focus we'll give on that professional marks, which is actually something new, which was introduced in September. So professional marks, we'll spend some time. We'll talk about some other, do's and don'ts of ACCA AFM exam preparation. So we'll make a short introduction here before we move on to everything in more detail. So syllabus areas, if we see number A, it is role of senior financial advisor in the multinational organization. Now, this is one syllabus area and it includes 2 or 3 chapters. What do we talk here? We talk here about financial strategy formulation. We talk about financial planning. We talk about ethics. We talk about dividend policy. So all these topics, they come together, they roll up into this one topic, which is called role of senior financial advisor. Let me just draw your attention to this word, senior financial advisor. When you were doing your skills level paper, so sometimes in exam, the question says that you are an accountant, okay? Or probably it said that you are the chief accountant. So you understand that paper from until F9, which was skills level. Examiner expects you to act as an accountant or a junior accounting professional. But when you come to these P-level papers, strategic professional papers, whether it is SBR or SBL or AFM, whatever, you are expected to think like, I'm focusing that you are expected to think like a CFO. You are or maybe a finance manager, or maybe a finance advisor. You are no more an accountant. You have to, I always say that in order to be successful in for any task, you have to put yourself into that scenario. So you have to start thinking like that. I am a CFO. I'm not an accountant. So I can't have a very narrow perspective. I should have a very wider perspective. So role of a senior financial advisor, it's not a role of an accountant, okay? Section B, it is advanced investment appraisal. You have covered your investment appraisal, capital budgeting, which was in ACCA F9 or FM. If you remember NPV, IRR, and probability analysis in NPV, taxation, stuff like that. So all that will be here, but it is advanced. Advanced means that you would be required to calculate not only NPV, but they may ask you to go for APV, adjusted present value, not only IRR, but might be MRR. And then there are a few other issues. For example, different currencies would be introduced. In F9, you never used multiple currencies. Here you might be using, taking some debt financing in some other currency and then investing it somewhere, and then taking out, rolling back the cash, and then paying back into another currency. So more advanced scenarios will be involved here. And this is one of the most, one of the most important areas of your exam. You always will have a question from advanced investment appraisal. Then you have acquisition and mergers. We'll talk about business valuation. How do we, what are the growth strategies? What are alternatives to acquisitions or mergers? How to finance acquisition, how to get financing for acquisition, and etc. So this comes here, C. This is actually interesting, but it is relatively less important as compared to part B, okay? So acquisition and mergers are good, but that one is more. Corporate reconstruction and reorganization. This, in my opinion, is actually even lesser important. Of course, it is an important thing. We have to again talk about equity and debt and how do we restructuring of your capital, how it will happen, and in fact, even when you do some acquisitions after that, what type of synergies will be created. E is treasury and advanced risk management techniques. One of the most important area and the most difficult one, risk management. This is where most students, they find it very challenging, risk management area. And you, of course, are going to get a question here. So which areas are most important here, where you have to focus a lot? These are the three areas, actually. I mean, others are also important, but these are the three main areas of the exam. Others are like fillers, okay? And the last one which they have added is professional skills. Professional skills, which were before in ACCA SBL as well, if you remember, in which you have communication, analysis and evaluation, and skepticism and professional acumen. So professional skills, there are going to be 20 marks actually. So what happens that it's 100 marks exam. 80 marks, they go for your technical knowledge, and 20 marks, they go for your professional skills. Technical knowledge goes for 80, professional skills go for 20 marks. Professional skills in very short, what does that mean? It means that how do you demonstrate, or how do you apply your knowledge? How do you communicate with the other stakeholders, or how do you communicate to the board or to the client or to anyone else who has what the question requires you to communicate with. So it is more about your how do you draft your response. And there are 20 marks separately. Now the question is that, is it something new? Yes, actually, how to say, officially it is something new. Before it was not there. Until September, it was not there. Before September, it was not there. So now they have officially announced it. But unofficially, it was always there. I mean, I remember we always said to our students that your response or your answer should be, it should look like how a professional response should look like. So we always used to tell our students that, don't repeat, write full sentences, don't do that, don't do that. So, the quality of writing, be to the point, be concise, whatever. So students always ask that, if I say that your answer should look like a professionally written answer, and they said, how do I make it look like professionally written answer? What does that mean? Can you define it? So this time they have defined it. Actually, marks were always there, and expectations were also there. So expectations and marks were always there. For example, if there was a question which was a theoretical question for 10 marks, so somebody who used, if somebody wrote a very good answer, probably they got 8 marks, and somebody who wrote a weaker answer would got, 6 marks. So, this type of evaluation was done before as well. Examiner was evaluating your answer, that if it is something which is up to expectations or not. But the thing was that he was actually giving or taking marks on that thing, but it was not defined that how many marks is he going to allocate to this professionally written response, the quality of response. And plus, students were not able to understand that what examiner want me to use or want me to do. So this time what they have done, they have given you that, okay, these are the 4 skills which you must demonstrate. Okay, communication, analysis and evaluation, skepticism, and professional acumen. So they defined these 4 skills and they allocated 20 marks to it, so that it becomes something not very subjective, it becomes objective. Now students, they know, okay, these are the things which we have to pay attention to, and these are the marks which I will be awarded or rewarded for. So like I said, that officially it has been introduced now because they made it very objective. They told you what to do and they gave you 20 marks for that. But before, it was always there, but we never knew that what examiner wanted us to do to look like a professional. And even if we look like a professional, how many marks are they going to give us for that? So before it was there, but it was unclear. So anyways, professional skills have been added here. Now, if I move on, and I'm actually today's lesson, I will focus a lot on these professional skills. Topics new to the paper. So no technical topics have been added to AFM syllabus for September 22 to June 2023. Nothing has been added. However, syllabus section F, professional skills, has been added. So that 20 marks. So it means that let's suppose that if you see that there is a 25-mark question. So what do you have? You've got, okay, I'm going to explain section A and section B. Section A has 50 marks, one question. Section B has 25 marks, two questions. Here, the distribution is 40 marks for technical knowledge, 10 marks for professional skills. Here, 21 marks, 20 marks for technical knowledge, 5 marks for professional skills, 20 marks for technical knowledge, 5 marks for professional skills. So this 10, 5, and 5, these are the 20 marks which you are going to get or lose just by carefully writing the response or carelessly writing the response. Actually, if you ask me, introduction of this professional skills is a very good opportunity, especially for the working professionals. You know, for full-time students, for young people who have never worked in any organization, they are not really very good in creating responses. They have never written professional emails. They have never written any reports. So for them, it is difficult. But for the working professionals, if you people have been working in any company, in any corporate organization, I'm sure that for you, it is going to be a blessing, because you are going to, how to say, master this thing very easily. Also, a new spreadsheet is available in the AFM exam, where required in a question that usually comes with Scholes Model Option Pricing thing, where you have to put in the values for PA, PE, RS, and T. This is something very little. We will show you how it works on ACCA portal. Okay. So these are topics new, topics leaving the paper. Integrated reporting, this has been removed. You should have some basic knowledge about that, but specifically there is not going to be any question on integrated reporting. Transfer pricing has been repositioned from section 6A to 6C to 6A, which means that it is more relevant as being a factor that impact on dividend capacity as opposed to being discussed independent. So transfer pricing, before it was an individual topic which could have been individually tested. Now it is not. It could become a part of your dividend capacity thing. That's all. Wording of section B1A has been clarified to confirm that multi-period capital rationing is only examinable through discussion. So calculations will not be required for multi-period capital rationing. It has become to discussion area. In section E1B, Vega and RHO are no longer examiner. These were the two, again, measurement things. They have been removed. RHO is no more there, and Vega is also no more there. So these are the topics which have been either, removed or shifted the dimension. Exam structure, what you get, section A, 50 marks, one question, one long question of 50 marks. This question is scenario-based, and the requirements come from different areas of syllabus, okay? It is very popular that investment appraisal usually comes inside of that thing. Section B consists of 2 compulsory 25 marks questions with 5 professional marks each. So section A has got 10 professional marks. Out of this 50, 10 marks will be professional, and here out of each 25 mark, 5 mark will go to professional area. By the way, here all 4 professional skills will be tested, but it is possible that in these 2 questions, maybe 2 skills will be tested in pair. Okay, so testing at least two of the following professional skills: analysis, evaluation, skepticism, commercial acumen, etc. Minimum 2. The long question, which is in section A, which actually is your, how to say, winning or losing thing, because I mean, this is half of the paper. One question is half of the paper. So it's a scenario-based question. Syllabus requirements, different areas will come. It normally requires candidates to perform complex computations. Lengthy calculations will be involved here. Then evaluate and analyze information, because whatever your calculations you will perform, the numbers you will perform. Remember when you were doing in F9 or F7, you just perform the numbers and you leave this thing on the table. You got the number and that's it. This is what accountants do, by the way. This is the difference between accountant and the manager. Accountant will find out the number and print it and bring it to your table. His job is done. Managers, they need to understand the number. They need to analyze them, evaluate them, and then communicate them to someone else. This is what managers they do. So you not only have to perform calculations. This is perform calculation was until F9. Now you have to go one step further. You need to evaluate and analyze information and then discuss and assess various options. Apply skepticism. Skepticism means questioning things. Skepticism means do not believe what you get information. Ask, make challenges, okay? Challenge the information which is given to you. Don't just blindly accept whatever. I mean, those of you people who have done audit or AA or AAA, you understand what I mean by skepticism. And make judgments or commercial recommendations, possibly based on explained and justified assumptions. Justified assumptions, not only assumptions, but justified assumptions. So this is where a lot of discussion is required. Whatever numbers we'll find out, maybe it is NPV, let's suppose, because NPV is something which is very common to everyone. So you need to discuss that this NPV which has been calculated, what were the assumptions based on this, on which this NPV was calculated. For example, we assumed that revenue will grow with 2%. This is a very common assumption when you were doing your NPV questions. You always said that revenue grows by 2%, cost of sale or the fixed cost will grow by 5%. So this is an assumption. Where did you get that assumption? And what happens if that assumption fails? Always remember, one more thing I would tell you. This thing is very important. I mean, when you were in, when we were studying IFRS or financial reporting, we always thought about conservatism. If you remember, conservatism, okay? Which was called the principle of prudence. That you always have to see the dark side of the picture. You always have to see the worst come worst. You always have to see the, the downside of the other thing. You have to be conservative in your approach. That was in financial reporting. In financial management, in decision-making, you have to be skeptical. It's kind of the same thing. You have to be skeptical. And when being skeptical, you need to check the authenticity of the information. And one more thing I tell you, which will add a lot of, weight to your perception or, your, approach to seeing things. Remember, senior managers, they are always thinking about this thing. I get so many proposals from different departments. Production comes in, this is the new product. Sales comes in, this is the new strategy. And everybody comes in with a lot of good news, okay? I've got this new sales strategy, and this is going to bring this much of profits. I've got this new product, and this is going to, I don't know, do some fantastic things in the market. Everybody will come up with ideas. Somebody will come in that I've got a new project. I've got a new investment opportunity. As a manager or as a senior manager, I'm always like this. I always have to think, what if the sales strategy fails? Or what challenges this sales strategy has to face? What will happen to this new product? Because everybody will come up. Nobody will come up and say, we should not produce the product. If they think that it should not be produced, they will never come to me. Nobody will come to me and say that we should not start a new project. Everybody will come and say, this is the new project, because they already have made up their mind. They already have done their workings. They already have rejected 5 projects. The 6th project they brought to me. And they are convinced that we should do it. So they come up always with the benefits. We have to see the risk side of that. So skepticism would be there, challenging the information would be there, and your approach throughout the exam would be, I mean, when you will make your discussions, always pay attention to the risks associated with the analysis, with the decisions, because in most cases we are taking some decisions, okay? Your financial management exam will not be about your past performance, okay? It's not IFRS. It is not historical financial statements. It will always be about if we acquire this company, or if we invest in this project, or if we hedge our financial instrument, or if we hedge our currency. So these all are things about future. And the things about future always have risks. There is nothing which is certain about future. So you should not be ignoring, like I said, that your approach to the question, every question you will do, this element you will never forget. You will keep on looking at, keep on thinking that what risks are associated with this particular scenario, because it is going to be a scenario which has to be decided in this exam question or whatever, and you need to make some conclusion. Are we going to invest there or not? Should we give dividend or not? I mean, if you already have given the dividend, it will never come in exam. The exam will be, should we give dividend or not? Should we invest or not? Should we buy these futures or not? Should we go for options or should we go for swaps or what? So it will always be about future. And when we talk about future, risk comes in. As a senior manager, the most important thing is to pay attention to risks. Numbers they will do. Sales team will go and kill the market. I know. My salespeople are very good. They will do everything in the market. My production is very good. The only thing is I need to protect them from the risks. I need to make sure that they are not going to a path which has some, unforeseen risks, or which has some surprises coming on their way. So this is, you need to justify the assumptions. What are the assumptions and how do you justify, and the risk and skepticism. So quite a lot of discussion on this section A question. The question is substantive and analytically complex. Yes, it's not a short bet. I mean, when you will do your section B question, which has 25, it will also always have numbers. So AFM has got a lot of calculations, a lot of numbers, unlike SBR. SBR is 70% discussion, 25-30% numbers. Here, it's not the same case. Here you've got 50 to 60% of calculations. So a lot of numbers, but the difficult or the lengthy or complex calculations are in part A. In part B, it is relatively less. The question will contain 10 professional skills marks and will set a test communication, analytics, analysis, evaluation. Analysis and evaluation is one, skepticism and commercial acumen. So this is your about part A. If you go to part B, 2 questions, 25 marks each. Each will have 5 professional marks, 20 technical marks. It will also involve calculation and discussion, but this time calculations are not as complex as before. Of course, there will be calculations, but slightly easier. And questions may require candidates to perform computation, interpret and analyze information, discuss and evaluate various options. When they say evaluate, it means that you need to think like advantages and disadvantages, bring both pictures inside. The benefits which are there, cost benefit analysis you do sometimes we do risks analysis inside. Okay, these are the benefits, then what are the risks? So evaluate means where you are making a 360-degree view. Make judgments and explain assumptions, apply skepticism, provide reasoned commercial recommendations to varying degrees. Varying degrees means that it will depend on the requirement of the question. Questions will be a mix of computations and discursive. It is also possible for candidates to provide with incomplete. Yeah, this is also possible. Sometimes they will give you some incomplete or incorrect data, and you should be able to identify it. There could be contradictions, okay? There could be contradictions. For example, we say that it's a mature market, and then you are showing a 10% growth, or maybe it's a shrinking market. It's a shrinking market, and you say that stable revenues are expected. So these are two contradictions. Somebody has provided you information, but it is conflicting information, because on one side you say that it's a mature industry, or probably you are saying that it's a shrinking market. But then in another part, it says that when you start doing the numbers, you are taking either the growth or maybe the stable revenues, which are not possible in a shrinking market. So you need to see that whether information is incomplete, it is incorrect, it is contradictory. You need to identify that, and you need to reason that. So like I said that in this position, like I said from the very beginning, senior financial manager position, you are not expected to accept anything and everything. You are expected to use your mind, to use your knowledge, analyze the situation, find out the numbers first. Based on the numbers you find out, you evaluate, you analyze the situation and evaluate the scenario. Scenario has some decision outcome, should do or should not do, this do or that do, where we should invest, which hedging strategy we should adopt. There are some decision notes, and you need to make a conclusion on that. And your conclusion is based on your analysis and evaluation. And your analysis and evaluation is based on numbers. And numbers are based on assumptions. I always say, I mean, I'm not sure if some of you people have taken my FM course or not. You know what? Let me just come back. I don't see the word. Actually, there's a word everywhere. We use that word 100 times. I just want to highlight it. Okay, let me just say the word. Word is assumption. Word is assumption. Everything depends on assumption. If you ask me to make an NPV, you bring me the data, I can make it like this. Calculating NPV is not difficult. Actually, your Excel will do it for you. Calculating NPV does not make you anything. Calculation of NPV is nothing. The most important thing is that the numbers which you have used in NPV calculation, how did you get those numbers? All of these numbers, they belong to future. All of these numbers, they belong to future. And the future is based on some assumptions. So the most important thing is assumption. I change assumption, everything will change. You say that your revenue will grow by 5%. What if it grows by 3%? Everything will change. Your fixed cost will grow by 5%. What if they grow by 7%? You say that my asset or my asset will have a residual value of 20 million at the end of 10 years. How do you know it will be 20 million? Maybe it will be only 5 million. Then what will happen? So assumptions you have to very carefully analyze. Because I'm speaking it again, end of the day, you have to conclude. Your conclusion is based on your evaluation of the scenario. Your evaluation depends on your analysis of numbers. And your numbers, they are coming in from the assumptions which you have accepted. Okay, so this is how it works. So section A, section B. We are going to discuss these things repeatedly while doing questions. Okay. So knowledge from FM paper, and I just wrote one line. It is key to success. Nothing much can be said about it. Nothing more. If you see your AFM course page, which all of you people have subscribed, there are 24 lectures, 24, I repeat, 24 lectures only from F9 FM. I don't want you to watch all of these 24 lectures straight back to back. I don't. But I do recommend you and strongly suggest you to watch the relevant lectures. For example, when you start your investment appraisal in AFM, I suggest that go back and watch investment appraisal from FM. I have not put all of the FM investment appraisal here, but the selected ones I have put up, which you need. When you are going to start your risk management in AFM, before starting risk management in AFM, please go back and watch the risk management lectures from F9 or FM. So because knowledge areas are same, you go 60% of the, if there is a question, let's suppose, let me just put it like this. This is an AFM question, okay? And it requires you to reach to this point. It requires you to, you start from here and you need to reach to this point. Trust you me, until here, your F9 knowledge will take you. F9 knowledge will take you in more than halfway. In investment appraisal, in acquisitions, and in risk, I wouldn't say, because risk is very different. Risk management here is very different. At least this acquisition mergers and investment appraisal. These are the two important areas. And in these two important areas, F9 will take you until here. From here, AFM will start. So if you are not good here, it is impossible to do it here. So if somebody ever says you, or if somebody ever tells you that forget about F9 and start spending time on AFM, no. I see many people, they get stuck in AFM, they go to exam for second attempt, for third attempt, not because they can't or they don't understand AFM. The reason is that they, they don't understand FM, the basics, and therefore AFM is all confusing. They try to remember it. They don't have the rationale behind it. They don't have the true understanding of the concept. So FM or F9 knowledge is very important. I've got 24 lectures added to your AFM curriculum. Then we talk about the professional skills. Now, if you've got any questions, please ask. Okay, next we are going to discuss professional skills. So let's do it as a separate section.